Hello there, it is Melanie back with Melanie Loves Death Metal. Happy Monday. It is very early in the morning. I'm trying to get a video out before I have to start working. Ignore the mess behind me. I have a ton of distro stuff that I'm packing up and shipping and stuff, and my room is just a disaster of boxes and packing peanuts and all of that stuff. My goal today is when I have free time, I'm going to clean this up. But yeah, I had a huge shipment come in that I sold off on my distro. It was a lot of really awesome records that I bought from a collection, and I'm just trying to get those out the door. It takes forever because I am only one person. But I got a review for you guys today. I was not going to review this. I had no intentions of doing it. And I purposely chose not to do it on the Heavy Metallurgy channel because I knew it would be a very biased review, and I don't want to do biased reviews over there. So after a couple people finally they texted me and asked me like, hey, you're gonna do a review, I want to know your thoughts on this, blah blah blah. I was like, you know what, all right, fine, I'll make a video. I'll cop out, do an easy video, and I'll talk about it. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm sure you probably know, I mean, obviously because of the title, but the new Cattle Decapitation Terrasite came out this past Friday. Yeah, I was admittedly not too hyped for this album. Probably for the first time since the Harvest Floor, I have not been hyped for a Cattle Decapitation album. I don't know. I just lately have been going through some shit and not excited about things that are being released whatsoever. And I, for a while, didn't have this on pre-order. It took me a while to finally order this. A big part of it was, it had nothing to do with the music or anything like that. A big part was the price of the record. It is a double LP, so $39.99 plus $7 shipping, $7-ish shipping plus tax. It ended up being a $50 record, and right now I'm not buying a lot of vinyl, and if I am, I'm choosing ones that are cheap and easy to get. And yeah, so I chose not to pre-order this, and then after hearing the first couple of singles and then realizing and remembering Cattle Decapitation is one of my all-time favorite bands, I absolutely love them, I started to get excited, and I finally pre-ordered it. So it came on Saturday, so I'm a little behind. I didn't make the rush of the Friday YouTubers talking about this, but whatever, I don't care about that. And there's the back. Artwork by Wes Ben Scotter, I think is how you say his last name. Ben Scotter, yeah. And then redone logo by Gruesome Graphics. So yeah, the logo has been updated by him. He's an amazing artist. Check out his work. And yeah, so this album artwork was leaked on the internet. I think it was on Reddit or Facebook. I don't remember which one it was. I actually know who did it too, but I won't go into that. And the band was pretty upset about that, and I understand why. I know it's a thing, it happens all the time. People leak stuff all the time, and they leak the album, all this other stuff. But when you're an artist and there's a lot of stuff that you go through, a lot of red tape, a lot of things, and you have a plan of release and promotion, it sucks when somebody ruins that. Just taking it from the business side of things, I understand, but at the same time, I also know, from the fan side of things, the people that didn't understand why people were so upset, this stuff gets leaked all the time. That's just the day and age that we live in now, but still, I understand both sides. But anyway, a lot of people are knocking on the album cover, the album artwork. I think it's good. I like it. It's not too grotesque, like past album covers. I mean, Death Atlas wasn't, but everything else was. Pretty much every other album cover was. I mean, from To Serve Man all the way to Anthropocene. I can never say that damn record name. Yeah, I like it. I don't know, and I think just given the themes and the lyrical content and whatever else around the album, it fits. And I think it's pretty cool. Apparently, Wes also makes statues and stuff like that. So there's a statue of this out in the wild. Would love to. It'd be awesome if Metal Blade pressed little miniature ones, because I actually would probably get that because I'm a sucker for shit like that. But anyway, it's a really nice gatefold. Band images there, lyrics, logos, all their sponsored gear that they play on, all that stuff. So I got the vinyl after I told myself I was just not going to do it. I would wait for a price drop or something, or have access to just the plain black version, because I did not care for any of the color pressings at all. I didn't think any of them looked good. And I was like, I would just, at this point, just give me plain black. But plain black was only offered in Europe, and the shipping to get that here was even more, and it would have been almost a $60 record. So at that point, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to bite the bullet and get this color. This was the one that I liked the most out of them, that I could have tolerated. And I don't remember what it was called. It was like something flesh, something, I don't know. It's like this pink with, and you can't really see it in the camera, it has some splattering in it of purples and oranges and reds and stuff and white. I guess it goes well with the album cover. Yeah, I mean it does. But I just was not a fan of any of these color pressings at all. And Metal Blade, they press nice albums. I've never had any qualms or issues with the records that I've gotten from them over the last several years. And it's a double LP, so here's the other one. So I was like, whatever, color doesn't matter. I just, I just want the record now at this point. I'm hyped now. I've listened to the music. I've read all about it. I've got my favorite band releasing an album this year. I'll just take what I can get. But I've seen other variants on Instagram and stuff, and man, I do not like those variants. So I'm kind of just glad this is the one that I ended up liking the most. So it doesn't look that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But anyway. The one complaint that I have about this vinyl pressing is that it came with shitty paper sleeves, and when I'm paying $50 for a freaking record, it'd be nice if they have, the poly lining, plastic lining sleeves, like every other Metal Blade release that I've gotten in the last 4 years has. Every single Cattle Decapitation reissue, every single Merciful Fate, King Diamond, Cannibal Corpse, all of those reissues all have those really nice plastic lined sleeves with the Metal Blade logos on them. They're black. I should have pulled one out to show you guys. This just had these plain shitty paper sleeves. So I discarded them immediately and put them in my own plastic sleeves that I have. They're not MoFi, but they're something similar to MoFi. They're knockoff MoFis. Something I got on Amazon. They were like, I don't know, whatever. They do the job. But so that's my impressions on the record. It sounds great. I've listened to the album 4 times since Saturday. As soon as I got it on Saturday, we had just gotten home. We were out all day. I got home, I saw it sitting in the front step. I was like, oh, that's got to be it. And it was late, and I was tired, and I was like, you know what? I just really want to listen to this. And so I put it on, and I just sat, and I just listened to it. I didn't look at my phone, nothing. And man, I'm glad I did that, because I had listened to it digitally on Friday on streaming services. I had Bluetoothed it to my stereo, and I feel like, and I'm not much of an audiophile in terms of sound, but I feel like the streaming of the album did not sound nearly as good as this record did. I got a better experience listening to the vinyl, and I have that for a lot of albums in my collection. For whatever reason, the streaming of it, I have Amazon Music because it's with our Prime, and I have the HD, Ultra HD option or whatever. It just didn't sound that great, so I don't know if it was just my Wi-Fi or what was going on. And then I turned on the record and put the record on my turntable and listened to it the last couple of days, and I'm like, oh, this sounds so good. So that's the overall first impressions of the record. Like I said, it's a little bit expensive. It's pricey. The vinyl variants are not that great. There's probably 2 splatters that are decent that I don't mind, but I don't like that green one. I don't know. I'm hoping that they reissue some colors that are better, but it's not a big deal. Whatever, I have the vinyl now. But again, I was just annoyed that I didn't have access to just the plain black. But anyway, enough about the record pressing. Let's talk about the music. So I am going to just come right out of the gate and say this album is 10 out of 10 for me. It was an 8 out of 10, a 7 out of 10 when I first heard it for the first time last week. And then every time I listened to it, I just fell more and more in love with it. First impressions, first reaction, I liked every single song except for the Insignificance, which is the fourth song on the album. I, for whatever reason, was not a fan of that song when I first heard this album, so that's what made it not a perfect album for me. I mean, it's not perfect. There are some things that are a little bit, not too great. But, well, that's not true. No, I really don't have much negative to say. After listening to this several times, The Insignificance grew on me a lot. I really enjoyed the song. I think it goes really well. It connects really well with The Storm Upstairs, which is the following song after that. They blend really well together. There's so many things about this album that I just need to unpack, so let me start over. In terms of sound, in terms of what you're getting with this album, I think it's a way better upgrade from Death Atlas. I didn't have any issues with Death Atlas. I thought that was a great album. It was one of my favorite albums to come out that year. It came out in 2019. I think it might have been my album of the year then. I don't know. I didn't have a YouTube channel then, but I remember really, really liking that album. But this ended up being an improvement that I didn't think needed to happen, but it did. And it's great. And I like the storytelling of this a little bit better. I liked the song compositions, the songwriting on this a little bit better. It flows a little bit better than Death Atlas. Death Atlas has a little bit of a blending, kind of boring side to it towards the middle of the album that, it took me a while to really, really enjoy. But does it stack up to my favorite Cattle Decapitation record, which is Monolith of Humanity, which there are similarities to that record to this. Monolith came out in 2012, so we are over 10 years old now in terms of a band and their style and their sound. Do I like this better than that? I don't, and that's just because I don't think anything is going to ever top Monolith of Inhumanity for me. That is also one of my all-time favorite albums of ever. So, but I'm going to just say this right now, in terms of a discography ranking, this is my number 3 in Cattle Decapitation. That's how much I like this album. So we've got Monolith of Inhumanity, the Anthropocene Extinction, I can never say that album name, I'm so bad at stuff, and then now Terrasite, and then Harvest Floor, etc. So I might do a new discography ranking video now that this is out. I released one months ago when I got all the reissues and finally finished my collection for vinyl. So I think what happened here is I've been in such a really bad funk lately. I've been very depressed. Nothing has been exciting me. Collecting is not exciting anymore. I've sold off more than half of my record collection just because I got tired of trying to keep up with things, and I just wanted to have money to pay bills and whatever else. But I kept all of my favorite records. I kept all of my favorite bands and stuff. And I think this was an album that needed to happen for me personally, that I didn't realize that I needed, because it made me excited for death metal again. It's very much a death metal record. They don't have much of that grindcore sound anymore. There's a little bit of the grindcore, death grind still that I hear a little bit in there, but they've full-fledged gone into a very phenomenal death metal record, death metal band. Travis's vocals on here are very sinister. They're very dark. I love his high-pitched screaming on this record. He still has the normal growls on here that he does. He still does the singing, kind of, but the singing is very less on this album. You know how there's that clean, those kind of like weird clean sings that he does? I'm not going to mimic it, but I can mimic it. That has been on the last several records, and my dog is barking now, so this is great. But yeah, I think his vocal performance for this record is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I think the overall blend of the band, the drums, the guitars, the bass, everything, the production is stellar. It's huge. The production is huge on this. And like, it's very much a clean production in terms of like what you would listen to from like the 90s. It's a clean production. And some people just don't like that new modern production sound. But it's massive. And I think that's what really, really hits home for me on this record, is how good everything sounds together in the mix. The vocals, the guitars, and then there's this type of singing in the album now that is like I can't really like explain it without listening to it. It's not Travis's highs, it's not Travis's lows, it's not his goofy singing, it's this other type of like singing, and I don't know, is it him that's actually doing those vocals? Because I don't know if it is. It might be somebody else in the band that's doing it. That's layered into several of the songs, most notably on the Insignificance towards the end, and I think it's also on Just Another Body, which is the last song. I can't remember, there's another one. Paul, I know you're going to be watching this video. Tell me if there's other vocalists on this album. I'm just trying to see. All vocals are 100% organic, plant-based, and gluten-free. May have been manufactured in a facility that processed tree nuts. That's funny. The vocal credits aren't written out for each song. I'll look into it and see if it's actually Travis that's doing all the vocal layering on here. That's one of my favorite things about this album is those different types of vocal layering now. It's not just this monotone death growl throughout the whole entire record, which Cattle Decapitation never really did that anyway. But there are so many things about this album that I absolutely love. I think it flows really well together. Some of my all-time favorite songs on here are We Eat Our Young, which is one of the singles that they put out. It's just massive. Scourge of The Offspring is an awesome song. I love The Storm Upstairs. I love And the World Will Go On Without You. Oh, that song is so good. Honestly, the very last half of this album, from song 5 to song 10, every single song is phenomenal. Like, the last part of this album is stellar. First part's great too, but these last 5 songs are all great, and it ends with an epic song, a song that I feel like Cattle Decapitation has never really had in their discography, at least not that I'm used to really, or have paid much attention to. It's a longer song, it's epic, and that's pretty much when the slowdown happens. Otherwise, it's just a ferocious beast throughout the whole entire record. It's just a very, very well written album. I think there's a lot of COVID feelings in here. A lot of shit that's been going on in this world has been poured into this in terms of emotions and stuff like that. And I know that like there's a bunch of interviews and stuff that Travis and the band has done about the themes and all the lyrical content and what it means, and I honestly haven't listened to any of it yet. So somebody can school me in the comments on it. But yeah, it's a great album. It blew me by surprise. I didn't expect to like it as much. When bands have been around for a while and they continuously release albums, I tend to get a little bit nervous that this is going to be the album that's a stinker. This is going to be the album that makes people feel like they should hang it up. No. Somehow this band just keeps getting better. They're not going to hang it up. I don't think that they should. I think they should do at least 2 or 3 more albums in their career. I think they'll continue to make great albums after that, unless they decide to just completely change their sound, which I don't think they will. But yeah, it's a great album. I don't have anything negative to say about it other than that it's just such a fast listen. I just wish there were some bonus tracks, and I'm hoping that they reissue a special edition someday with some bonus tracks, but I can't wait to hear this stuff live. I don't know if I'm going to be able. I think they were just here, actually. I might have actually missed them. I don't feel like looking it up right now. But the next time they come through, I'm definitely going to go see it. I would love to hear these songs live. And just, I love this band. It's really hard for me to say anything negative. I mean, obviously, the first several albums in their discography, To Serve Man, Human, or Karma Bloody Karma, are not perfect albums by any means. I think The Harvest Floor is what really, really started to make this band excellent for me. And like I said, Death Atlas was not a bad record at all. I thought it was a great album. But this one is so much better. So I'm going to be grabbing this one for a while. I'm going to be playing this one for a while. In fact, it's reignited my love for the band, and now I'm just going back and re-listening to all their records again. I've got a stack back there, as you can see, that I pulled off my shelf. And I'm also going through and looking through some other things I don't have in my collection, like some singles and stuff like that I might want to add. So now we're back into the full-fledged Cattle Decapitation binge that I tend to do at least once a year. I do that with Death. I do that with Cannibal Corpse. I do that with Autopsy. all of my favorite death metal bands, I tend to like go through a binge period and start to try and find things that are not in my collection. So overall, if I had to rate the album 10 out of 10, I'd give it a perfect 10. People are going to be like, what the hell? Whatever. It's a biased opinion. It's my opinion. They're one of my all-time favorite bands, so are you really that surprised? But pick it up. If you're a Cattle Decapitation fan, I think you'll enjoy it. If you're new to the band, I would definitely think you'll enjoy it as well. I would say if you start with this album and then you work your way back, when you start to get to Monolith of Inhumanity, you're going to notice that there's a little bit of a style change and it might throw you off. But you actually might enjoy it still too. So just keep that in mind. If you decide to start with this album and you work your way back in the discography, their sound is quite different. There's a lot more grindcore and death grind into the sound. That is all that I have today. Happy Monday. I don't know if I'll have another video up this week. I will try. I'm waiting on 2 records to get sent to me in a trade that I made that will complete my Cannibal Corpse vinyl collection in terms of studio albums, not of bootlegs or all the singles or anything that they have out. So I'm going to hopefully be able to record that video this week, but I don't know. We'll see. So I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I will see you in the next one.